Hey guys, I'm Chris Barano, and I'm going to share with you my guitar class on analysis of the major scale. I'm not a video maker. In fact, that will become quite obvious, and I'm not looking to sell you anything. I'm just trying to help some people out who maybe could use a little help. Um, I've tried to make this video short and to the point in analyzing the scale and the harmonization of the scale and the intervals and using the major scale formula. This is really introductory kind of class, if you want to say it. If you have a lot of a theory experience, you're probably going to watch this video and say, man, he left a lot of stuff off. And that's on purpose. Because if we're taking baby steps here, I want to follow up with other videos that I'm going to add to it. I just want you to take this, if this is new to you, then this lesson is for you. And it's a basic intervallic analysis. It's going to help you. And then I'm going to take this little piece and I'm going to make another video and show how you can apply just this little bit that you've learned here and what it means to you. Because I feel like if you tell somebody something and teach somebody something, you need to show them how to apply that. Otherwise, you're just giving them information. And there's enough confusion in theory with, why do I need to learn this stuff, right? So I'm trying to help you along here and trying to apply more, but I'm taking baby steps. So this is just a little introduction of myself to you and what I'm about to show you. The formula I'm going to use is the whole, half, whole, half formula, and it applies to a major key. If you're going to analyze a minor key, you could do the same procedure, you would just use a different formula, and you can look that up. I don't want to say it here because I don't want to confuse anybody. We're going to stick to major scale right now. So I want to encourage you to take other keys and figure them out, analyze them in the way that I'm about to show you. Pick any key. Don't be too concerned if you run into some strange note names like E sharp. It's going to happen. But for the purpose of analyzing this and understanding the function of it, it's perfectly okay to say E sharp. So if you have any questions, reach out to me. This is going to be on YouTube. So once again, Chris Barano, thanks for watching. So here's how I start. I'm going to be analyzing the E major scale. I'm going to try to keep this video short, so I'm not going to get into the chord analysis on this, but this is the beginning of analyzing the harmonization of the major scale, which you would need to know before you start constructing chords off of this. I'm starting with E, and I'm writing down all of the notes chromatically ascending order, going up all the way to the octave till I reach E again. I start with E. If this was your guitar, this would maybe be your open E string, and as you play each fret going up on the E string, these are your note names. E, your first fret is going to be F, and your second fret is going to be either F sharp or G flat. So these note names that are what's called N harmonic, En, N harmonic, are note names that your ear hears as the same note, but it has two different names. Which name you use all depends on which key you're analyzing. When you finish this analysis, it's going to tell you which note name you need to use for these N harmonic notes that are right here, and that is one note. But I stack them when I write them down because they are essentially the same tone. So this note could either be called F sharp or G flat. So I put all my sharps up on the top and all my flats underneath them, right? And this will be a little bit clearer as we go through this analysis. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to circle my first note here, right? Now I'm going to apply my major scale formula. I know it is whole, half, whole, half. Some people refer to it as tones and semitone. A tone would be a whole step. A semitone would be a half step. It's just two different schools of thought, meaning the same thing. So from starting with E, I'm going to go a whole step. So remember I said these were all half steps in ascending order. So to go a whole step, I'm going to skip this F, and then I'm going to circle this right here. Right? And then I'm going to draw a little loop right here, and I'm going to label it W to let me know that I went a whole step to get to that. Now I'm going to go another whole step, right? So I'm going to skip this G, I'm going to circle this. I'm going to go back over the formula again in a minute. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Whole, whole. Now we want to go a half step. So I'm going to circle this A, right? And put a H there. Whole, whole, half. Now, according to the formula, we're going to go 3 whole steps, right? So let's jump over to this B, right? And then we go here. Another whole step to here. And then a half step, which brings us up to our octave. Label these. Now, these are the notes of your E major scale. Forget about the ones that are in between for now. They're not part of the E major scale. So, if you want to make this a little bit clearer, we can write these down. So, I will write E. Note names, let's see, major scale. Major scale notes, right? And that's going to be E. Now, let's look at this enharmonic thing again. Now, there's one little rule here that says when you're writing these down, and you're trying to spell correctly. And what I mean by spelling correctly is you want to use the right note name, enharmonic notes name. And if you're looking at a musical staff, it's going to have a key signature at the front of that. That's going to follow this kind of nomenclature that I'm telling you here about spelling correctly. And that's why it's important to know which to use at the right time, because there is some math behind it. There is a formula behind it. Some people misuse those, and you might see that misrepresented a lot, and it's really kind of would be considered poor spelling if you're using the wrong thing. But it's a simple rule, and this rule says that you want to represent every letter name as much as you can. Every letter name will be represented in your scale. So if that's the case, we're starting with E, right? The next letter up from E is F, right? So there we go. That's going to be an F sharp. We're going to write that down. That's the name we're going to use to represent this note. And you can X through that G flat right there. Now, we went from E to F. What's next is G, right? It's not A. You wouldn't say A flat right here. That would be poor spelling. You want to represent that G. So put your G down, G sharp, right? Write that down. Then you've got A, no problem there, right? Then B, right? Now, I'm going to give you a real quick hint. It's either all going to be sharps or it's either all going to be flats, right? I forgot to X that out there. It's either all going to be sharps or flats. You're not going to have a mix of sharps and flats in the same key. So once you hit that first sharp, you know that the rest of my spelling is going to be my sharp notes. That's just a byproduct of how things work out. So you've got B here, so you're going to end up with C sharp here, and you're going to end up with D sharp here, right? And if you want to write that E down, that just means we're back to where we started from. It's the same as that note, right? But that's your 7 notes right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And in fact, I'm going to write interval names, and I'm going to number these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, that's your notes of the E major scale. It's as simple as that, and it's spelled correctly. It's laid out for you, and you know that. So I think I'm going to make another video to tell you what you can do with just this little bit of information. Now look, this gets built upon. This is a skeleton. This would be if this were a skeleton, this would be your backbone. And then you can sit there and analyze all this stuff along with this and add more to this analysis and keep going. You're going to build chords off of this. So you're going to find out what every chord is in the key of E. You're learning your note names of the E major scale and what your intervals are. Now, just to give you a quick sample, we went up to 7 here, but we got another E right here, right? It's a higher octave than this E because we've gone back up again. But what if we call this an 8, right? Since there's only 7 notes in the E major scale, but we made an 8 right here. That 8 is telling you that it's the same note as that. It's just a higher octave from that. So your 8 is going to be a higher octave. When you start building chords and you start seeing these chords with numbers attached to them, especially in jazz, that's exactly what they're doing. These numbers, like these 9, 11s, 13 chords, are just these extensions of these same notes, just in a higher octave. It's just telling you, hey, you want to try to play those higher octave notes if you can, or in the higher octave. So anyway, that's my analysis for now. That's the notes of the E major scale, and this is the interval names attached to each note. So I hope that helps. Thanks for watching.